Good evening, I'm Farhana Sheikh and you're tuning in to AWANI Tonight. Bills on anti-party hopping law and limiting PM's term limit will be tabled by March. And we discuss highlights from the Singapore's Budget 2022 announcement today. More on that coming up. The anti-party hopping bill and one that will limit the Prime Minister's term will be tabled by March. De facto Law Minister Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar says that while it had been difficult to get the new laws approved, it was possible with the signing of MOU between the government and Pakatan Harapan, which had brought political stability into the country.
It is stated in the MOU to say that it must be tabled by March. And we have not concluded on the definition. 20 questions raised up by the AG, Attorney General, have not all been answered. But Prime Minister's request to me is, it must be tabled by March. So once we have reasonably completed the draft, which we feel is the best for the nation, then we are going to table it.
The first Dewan Rakyat session for the year will be held from February 28th to March 24th.
PKR has come out to explain why seat negotiations with Muda broke down for the upcoming Johor state elections. Johor PKR Chief Syed Ibrahim Syed Noh said that Muda had wanted urban and mixed seats, adding that they offered 3 seats to Muda, but they were rejected. Syed said that besides rejecting the 3 seats, Muda also claimed 3 other seats. Muda was reportedly aiming for the Kempas, Gambir and Larkin seats in negotiations with PKR. However, PKR offered them other seats, including Tanjung Surat, Sri Medan and Semarang. Muda President Syed Saddiq said seat negotiations between both parties were considered to be over after PKR moved to prematurely announce it was fielding 20 candidates. In a statement, he also warned of possible clashes between the two parties, saying that if it was unavoidable, then Muda would leave it to Johorians to decide at the polls. Muda had already reached an agreement with Parti Amanah Negara and DAP to contest in 6 seats. Muda would contest using its own logo in their first ever election. The prosecution can review the murder charge against the 15-year-old girl who stabbed her newborn baby. According to the Attorney General's chambers, this is due to recent developments, including results of an investigation into a rape incident involving the teenager.
In a statement today, the AGC said that it can still revise the decision to charge the teenager for murder under Section 302 of the Penal Code based on new information. It said information that the girl was in fact a rape victim only came after she was caught on February 8th. She lodged a police report on the same day with investigations still ongoing. The AGC also defended the court, saying that the process was done in accordance to criminal justice law.
The government's plan to accelerate 5G rollout through the Single Wholesale Network or SWN model has received a lot of pushback from telcos, fearing the proposal might create a monopoly over the service. We speak to independent consultant on telecommunications and 5G, Brett Hunt, for his insights on the matter.
Basically, a wholesale model is to create a utility-like network so that there can be service sector competition, so that all actors have the same terms and conditions and access to the utility, the wholesale network. Okay. What that does is give confidence to new entrants, gives confidence to other people to enter the market, and also gives confidence to the country that it can meet its goals. I would point out that the carriers do have some concerns, but what's really important, other stakeholders are going to be entering the market. Private enterprise, schools, universities will be able to enter the market under a 5G world, because 5G is also very important to a country's development.
Malaysia's big mobile carriers are pushing for a second 5G provider. But Brad explained that allowing a second provider to operate concurrently with the government-owned 5G network through Digital National Berhad would create confusion in the market.
To have two parallel networks going at the same time would in fact create confusion in the marketplace rather than create confidence in the marketplace. And then once that's done, as I would say, unscrambling that egg is very hard. Hold DNB accountable for its goals and objectives, have transparent policies, and that will create confidence in the marketplace.
Tune in to the full interview with Brad on the best way forward for Malaysia's 5G rollout on AWANI Global, 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned.
Asrama Mahat Tahfiz Jawaban.
Bila sentuh soal berita, tiada masa untuk tunggu. Kepada anda kami bawakan fakta, susulan dan kupasan yang terkini. Tiada drama dan tiada
Singapore announced its budget for this year with a plan to continue tackling the economic impact from COVID-19. This ranges from cash assistance to increase in taxes. Associate Professor of Law at Singapore Management University, Eugene Tan, shares key highlights from the budget.
The budget overall is expansionary. We are looking at a deficit of up to about 3 billion Singapore dollars. Which is about 0.5%, of Singapore's annual economic output. But I think the eventual figures will come in less. I think there's a tendency to overstate, the likely deficit. The government will still need to draw down about $6 billion from the reserves, and all of this will be devoted to tackling COVID-19. So I think overall, this is very much an anticipated budget because there is also the announcement on the increase on the goods and services tax, concerns about whether the budget could do more to deal with, social inequalities, and the question of also of, trying to build up that social infrastructure. I mean, Singapore budgets have always been very much characterized by, fiscal infrastructure. Now, that isn't missing from the upcoming budget, but I think this budget clearly has that social investment very high on its agenda.
Eugene emphasized on how the cost of living remains a major concern among Singaporeans. While the budget, he said, focused on immediate relief and assistance for sectors such as tourism that are badly hit by the pandemic, a lot more can be done to address inequality that has widened due to COVID-19.
I would have liked to see, the government move a lot more aggressively, on wealth taxes. So whether we're looking at, property taxes or taxes on luxury cars, for example, I think there was scope, to be bold, to impose, higher taxes. So I think, but what is important, I suppose, is, the important initial steps have been taken. And I think it is important to recognize, that those who are better off, those who have benefited, shouldn't see, that they are being penalized. I think it's important, that the budget is able to mold this attitude, that if people have benefited from, the system that is in place here, then it becomes all the more important, for them to be able to sustain it, make the system even better, so that, they will continue to be able to thrive under that particular system.
Rescuers in Brazil are racing against the clock to find survivors among the wreckage caused by devastating floods and mudslide. At least 117 people have been killed in the city of Petrópolis. Officials said the death toll could rise sharply, with more than 100 people still unaccounted for.
The downpour on Tuesday in the mountainous area of Petrópolis was the heaviest in nearly a century, causing mudslides that buried homes and washed away cars and buses. The city's population grew haphazardly over the years, with small residences packed tightly together in the mountainside. Many homes are in areas unfit for structures and made more vulnerable by deforestation and inadequate drainage. The rains were the latest in a series of deadly storms to hit Brazil in the past 3 months.
Hundreds of people were rescued after a ferry caught fire while sailing between Greece and Italy today. Greek authorities say there were no immediate reports of deaths or injuries. According to authorities, all 288 people on board, including 237 passengers and 51 crew members, were rescued. The Italian Euro ferry Olympia was headed to the port of Brindisi when the fire broke out Friday morning near the island of Corfu. The cause of the fire is still being investigated. The International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach has criticized the team behind Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva for their treatment toward the 15-year-old at the Beijing Winter Olympics. Valieva, who was a gold medal favorite, had tested positive for a banned substance. She was cleared to compete anyway, pending a probe, but crumbled under the enormous pressure.
Valieva fell several times during her free skate routine on Thursday night. She finished fourth before breaking down emotionally. Her coach, Itiri Tuberidze, was seen on camera confronting the teenager, questioning why she had stopped fighting after making an initial mistake.
But I must say I was very, very disturbed yesterday when I watched the competition on TV. And saw first in her performance how high the pressure on her must have been. But this was not all. When I afterwards saw how she was received by her closest entourage with such a, what appeared to be a tremendous coldness, it was chilling to see this.
The IOC has asked the World Anti-Doping Agency to investigate Valieva's coach and other team officials into how the teenager ended up with banned heart medication in her system. Bach also revealed that discussions are underway over the possibility of imposing an age limit on athletes competing on the Olympic stage.
What should the public health response be to a variant which is mild but highly transmissible? Tonight on Consider This, we speak to our guests about adjusting our approach to manage the Omicron wave. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news update on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and the Astro AWANI app. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching.